This is the Real Footy Tipping Podcast. Thanks for joining us to tip opening round of the 2026 season. My name's Andrew Wu, and joining me today, as usual, Peter Ryan. How have you been, Pete? Have a good summer?
Great summer. I'm so excited the footy's back. I can't believe it's come this quickly. Can you believe it, Wooey? On
It is
Thursday night.
It does feel a bit early. I've got a bit of a rule that if it's too warm, if the weather's too warm for you to wear a scarf to the footy, then there shouldn't be any footy.
Well, that's a ridiculous rule. We've already had State of Origin, which we correctly tipped anonymously, and now we go with the real stuff. So it should be interesting. There are 5 excellent games with one of the opening round games in Victoria for the first time.
Well, yes, that's a Sunday night, which I don't think we'll get next year with the 150th anniversary Test cricket on. So one to watch for next year. A few changes to our tipping roster this year. We've recruited a few actually. Wayne Campbell, the former Richmond champion,
easy beat. He'll be easy to beat in the tipping.
Danny Russell, who is he's coming off a high last year. He tipped the Melbourne Cup winner.
Yeah, well, he's a racing tipster, so don't worry about him.
And Hannah Kennelly.
Yeah, respect Hannah.
I think did she win the AFLW tipping as well?
I think so. Yep.
So yeah. One to watch. So last year we finished up. Mark McGowan won on 153. He tipped the grand final. No, he didn't tip the grand final winner. Actually, only 2 of us tipped it last year.
Caroline and John Perrick, I think.
Yeah, there's a 5-way tie for second. Jake Nile, Michael Gleeson, Callum Jasmine, who's back for another year. Caro and John Perrick, and you got to go a bit further back for the 2 of us.
No, but I tell you what we did do. We led at the clock tower. We led a long way from home, and then I don't like to use the word choked, but we basically choked in the run home.
Oh, you choked in the run home. I choked at the start and managed to pull a bit of ground back. But
I need to get back to your philosophies around 50-50 tips and not taking risks and so on to once again be up near the top. Well,
yeah, the 3 golden rules of tipping. Don't tip the favourites, don't chase upsets, and you've got to be prepared to tip against your team. So,
what do you mean, don't tip the favourites?
Well, don't always tip the favourites.
Oh,
you
okay.
tip the favourites every game, you're not going to win.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But you can't chase the upsets either because you're going to get rolled
so it's a balance
over the course of the season. So,
very, very good advice.
Okay, first game of the season, Sydney against Carlton. Massive grudge match. Charlie Curnow's first game for the Swans, 150th game in the AFL against the club that he played his previous 149 games for.
Should be an absolute... Sydney should win because they've got a stronger team, but we're expecting Carlton to put in a much better effort than they did for most of 2025. And they've got Jagger Smith starting up, which we're all very excited about, and Dean, who is going to stiffen their defence. So they're two massive
He'll take a bit of time, I think, Harry Dean, to get going. But I think Jagger Smith can have an instant impact.
And we're assuming Wiedering plays.
Yes, that seemed to be the mail out of Carlton.
And he never used to... he used to beat Curnow training all the time, is that right?
I actually hadn't heard that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
No. Well, so Curnow, it's going to be a lot of pressure on Charlie Curnow, and he's still going to be getting used to the system, but I just think with players like Errol Gould and Isaac Heaney in good form, they'll get Chad Warner back from the State of Origin.
He's not going to know what's hit him when he's got passes from Errol Goulden instead of coming from the Carlton midfield over the years.
I know. No disrespect to the Carlton midfield. Sam Walsh is a superstar who's signed a long-term deal, but he's not renowned for getting every kick right. And Patrick Cripps is he's not known
for his kicking either.
No.
And Charlie Curnow's had a massive summer. He looks fit. He looks ready to go. He looks happy, much happier than last year. Doesn't have the injuries. Hardly missed a session. I think he can kick 75, 80 goals.
Yeah, he'd be the tip for the Coleman early. Sydney's only worry is their defence. And Carlton, what do you think of their forward line, Andrew?
I think it'll be... Oh, it's different. I mean, Ben Ainsworth, I think, will add a lot. So will Will Hayward. I mean, last year, Charlie Curnow didn't have much of a year last year. He only played half the season. So I don't think, based on last year, they lose all that much.
Harry Mackay didn't have much for season, eh?
No, he didn't. He hardly played. It's going to be almost a completely new forward line. There could be 10, 11 players making their debuts for Carlton this game. So that's going to... I mean, they're going to be a completely different team to last year. I don't expect them to be a contender like they were in 2023 and 24. But can't see them having a worse year than last year.
No, but they'll be
given
much
all that
more
went wrong.
competitive this year, but I still think Sydney will win, and comfortably, in the opening game of the season.
Well, I wouldn't say comfortably, but I mean, Carlton just don't win at the SCG. They've won 2 out of 20 since 1994, and against the Swans, it's 2 of 19. So, in the last few games, it's either Chad Warner or Isaac Heaney who get the 3 votes.
Yeah.
And in
that'll
some
happen
cases, they get 3 and 2. So,
Have you got anyone, Carlton got anyone that can tag him?
I think George Hewitt will probably get Warner. Don't know. You can't tag both.
No.
But watch for those two. So, I mean, you can see how Sydney will win. Those two will have big nights. Charlie kicks 4 or 5.
Errol will hit Charlie at least 3 or 4 times on the chest in front of goal.
They're one of my tips of the top 4 this year, Sydney. I've got them pegged down as, I think, second in my ladder predictor.
Yeah, I think I've got them 4th. Sydney easily.
Yeah, well, how many points?
32.
32 points. Are you making them your... Well, we're not having a lock this year. We've got a different...
No, I'm not.
We've got a margin tip. It's going to be rolling throughout the season. So instead of saying, this is my lock, you pick your team, and the margin that team wins by, you get... Let's say Sydney win by 30 points this week. You get 30 next to your name, and if they lose by 15, well, then you're minus 15.
Yeah, okay.
And then add it up, accumulate it over the year, and whoever gets the highest number...
Oh, that makes it interesting. So I'll actually have to think through the margins.
Well, not necessarily the margin. You just got to pick the team that you think will win by the biggest margin. So it's a lock of a different kind.
Right. You take this seriously.
Oh,
Did you come up with this?
Well, our producer.
Oh, this is fantastic.
One of your
I'm
neighbours
so
in Geelong.
excited. Dude. Sometimes I rock into this podcast and just a bit like ho-hum, and then you throw that at me, and I think, oh, this is going to be unreal.
Well, we had a look at data that people didn't quite like your singing last year, and they didn't quite tune into the end, so we thought we'd do something different.
No, Sydney's not my lock, but 32 points I'll win by.
32. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got them by 2 goals. I think this will be a close game.
Yep.
I think all 5 will be relatively close, actually. Second game, Gold Coast against Geelong, Friday night footy, People First Stadium. You'll be up there, won't you, Pete?
I am flying in Friday morning to the Gold Coast. Can't wait. It's my natural habitat. It'll be good. It's going to be a great game. It's always a bit humid and slippery conditions, and Gold Coast have always had a pretty good record against Geelong up there, even when they were at different ends of the ladder. Matt Rowell is a huge loss for the Gold Coast. And I also have Noah Anderson, certainly, he ran a lot of Ks in that state game and did a lot of work, and so he's been...
It's a bit sore.
Well, they did a lot of work in that state of origin game that players normally wouldn't do on February
well
the
above
14th.
Their loads.
Well above their loads, and a few clubs were a bit concerned. Geelong had several representatives in that game as well, so we'll be watching for that. But they'll get Cameron in the team. Shannon Neal's fit after that minor scare last week against Carlton. I just think Geelong have a few players underdone.
Yes, I was going to ask you that because you are Mr. Geelong. You snoop around the corridors of power at Geelong and hide behind trees down at Cardinia Park and watch them train. I was going to ask you, how are they underdone? Because generally Geelong take a little while to get going because
they are underdone.
Usually go deep the year
before. A few of their players are underdone. Bailey Smith's obviously coming off a calf, and they won't be having Stengel. Jeremy Cameron did his quad about 3 weeks ago. He's going to play, but again, he's been on a limited program. Coming back from the broken arm. Myers is touch and go whether he plays, and he's an important player for them. So they're going to be certainly relying on system rather than personnel in those areas. Gold Coast just have to start winning these games, don't they? And they need to win easily. Or not easily. They need to put Geelong away, take the 4 points and move on to the following week, which I think they can do at home.
I agree with you. I think they need to win this if they're going to be a contender. I'm not necessarily sure that they are. I haven't got them in my top 4. I kind of think that they lost quite a few of those sort of middle order players last year, like Fiorini and Flanders, Ben Ainsworth, and Connor Butterick.
Yeah,
none of them were in their top 8 or so players, but
Flanders is good.
But they're middle-aged players, all played about 100 games and know the system well. And to replace them, they're going to be replacing them with, Petrarca's one, but other than that, you're probably relying on draft picks, young kids coming through.
Mm.
Jamara, he'll probably get his chance with Jed Walter suspended.
Yep. How many has he kicked this year? What's pass?
What's pass? Well, I mean, it didn't cost them anything, so
No.
anything's a bonus. But, I mean, he's good enough to kick 50 goals, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Well, he and Ben King really should be kicking 110 between them.
Yep.
But, yeah, I think Gold Coast win this, but I'm a watch for them. Can they handle expectation? This is the first year they've really got it. So,
Well, have they got ahead of themselves, as some people suggested was evident during the pre-season?
well, they didn't have a great pre-season. They
No.
lost both games, including one by 70 points.
And Geelong and the Masters are kind of coming up and ambushing teams. Still, I'm pretty confident Gold Coast will win.
Yeah, I've got Gold Coast by 21 points. I'm actually going to make them my margin tip. So, Gold Coast for me.
You okay? You think Gold Coast are the biggest certainty?
Yeah.
There's
I think they'll win by the biggest margin
Yeah, good.
because they can get a hold of Geelong. And in the humidity and Geelong not being ready, yeah, it could get away from them.
Fair enough.
Next game, Saturday afternoon, we're off to Sydney again. Greater Western Sydney against Hawthorn, a rematch of the elimination final from last year. The Giants, haven't they had a bad run with injury?
Shocking.
Our listeners may not know this, but they had a briefing night with media representatives about 2 weeks ago. And then since then, they have lost Tom Green, Sam Taylor, Toby Bedford, Brent Daniels, Finn Callion, on top of Josh Kelly from last year and Darcy Jones.
Yep. I saw you at that media briefing. You weren't far from the bar the whole time. Surprised you.
Bar. I was more into their
that is
rolls.
a devastating list of players to lose, or a list of players that it is devastating to lose on the eve of the season, particularly Tom Green, because a lot of the conversation had centred around how he and Oliver would operate together, Clayton Oliver. And the other side of the coin is that Hawthorn we're recording this before the tribunal hearing into Jai Newcomb, and that will be a big factor in your tip, I would imagine. But given I think he will get off, I'm going to tip Hawthorn to win and beat the Giants, because that list of players is too long a list to overcome. And Oliver, Stringer, Laverde, some of those recruits they've brought in, albeit good players, getting them to gel against the Hawks and reverse the result from the elimination final, I can't see it happening.
Stringer was good in the practice game last week against the Swans.
Stringer's okay, but...
and I think Clayton Oliver will enjoy the change of scenery. Hawthorn could not have been less impressive against the Bulldogs. I covered that game on Friday night, and they were awful. I know it's a practice game only, and I think the Bulldogs were wound up for it, but the Hawks were a long way off the mark. Newcomb was their best midfielder, so they need him to get off at the tribunal. But their forward line was Jack Gunston or bust.
Watson was good.
Well, he was okay, but
Nick Watson was fine.
Maybe.
Mm.
But, yeah, I suppose. I mean, I didn't think he was that great. I mean, he was probably one of their better players, but he didn't have a great night.
I love that word, suppose. I suppose, which basically you don't agree, but you can't be bothered arguing.
Yeah, they need to improve a lot. And my question mark on Hawthorn this year is whether, having not got Zach Merritt and lost Warple as well, where does their midfield improve? So, where is the improvement coming from?
Well, that's the obvious
Hawthorn?
question with Will Day out. The thing that I think will help them is that Lloyd Meek got run around by Tim English in that practice game, but the Giants have only got Kieran Briggs, and they match up relatively well, the Hawks, against the Giants.
Well, he's not going to get out jumped, is he?
No. So I think they can... Look, Finn Callahan's a star, but I think they can at least break even in that midfield by pinch hitting with a few of their forwards. It's, Dylan Moore and Ginnivan and Watson out of the middle, and get enough territory to actually win.
I'm not sure. I'm not confident with either game, either teams here.
Neither am I.
If you gave me... I've tipped Hawthorn, but if you gave me the Giants, I'd be equally as happy or not as confident.
Yeah, so go with your gut on this one. There's no certainty, but I'm tipping Hawthorn as well, only because... I suppose it's mainly because you expect them to be better all year. If that makes sense. You expect them to finish higher on the ladder.
Yeah, I've got them high on the ladder, and I think the Giants, just with all their injuries, that's a lot of quality out.
Yeah.
But they've still got a good team. They'll still have a good team on the park. But yeah, it's the Hawks. But there's no confidence. This isn't my
Hawthorn.
margin tip.
No, Hawthorn for me.
Okay, next game, Saturday night at the Gabba. The reigning premiers, the Brisbane Lions, opening their premiership defence against the Western Bulldogs, who I reckon...
It's not a premiership defence. You don't defend premierships. It's a reigning premiers. I got chastised by our chief footy writer last year for saying that, and I've taken it on board, which is why I'm passing it down the line.
I'm not going to get stuck into that sort
reigning
of nonsense.
premiers. Yeah, against the hopeful top 8 aspirants, the Bulldogs. Brisbane Lions have too much depth. They're going to be my lock. I'm still uncertain about Sam Darcy. I assume he's going to play. And if he plays, that will actually obviously make a big difference. But I think the Brisbane Lions can win this by 36 points.
Oh, so you reckon it'll be one-sided?
They'll get away late.
Oh, I think the Bulldogs have got a huge show of causing an upset in
Their
this game.
defence still worries me.
The Bulldogs' defence?
Yeah, I know they were a lot more conscious of team defence during the practice match and all pre-season, and their tackling has been a focus and so on. But when you look at Rory Lobb, James O'Donnell, Lockie Bramble...
Buku Kamas was very good last week.
He was very good. But whether
He could be
he'll back that
one
up...
to improve.
I like Buku Kamas, but it's just against Brisbane Lions... they moved the ball pretty well on that home deck at the Gabba. I'm loath to even think about the Bulldogs causing an upset here.
Well, I don't think the Bulldogs will win,
Right.
and I'm certainly not tipping them, but I think this will be a very close game. You just can't tip against Brisbane at the Gabba. That's one of those rules.
Yeah.
They're 68 from 84 since the start of 2019 at the Gabba,
Is that right?
so they just don't lose all that often.
No. And they'll be wound up to make a big night, given they'll be, I assume, raising the flag and...
But
doing
not
all
defending
those
it.
things. No, they won't be defending it. They've got nothing to defend. Yeah, it should be a ripper.
I'm going to watch your copy very closely.
Do you think the
this year.
Bulldogs, they've obviously got a midfield that can match them. It's just whether they can defend enough.
I think they're right in it. I've only got the Lions to win by 3 points here. I think this game will get decided right at the end. I think I've tipped Brisbane to be my premiers for the year.
Yeah.
But only because I think they'll get going late. But I don't think they'll be starting. I don't think they'll be wound up.
Lockie Neal point to
start.
prove, given he's had a pretty wretched summer.
But who's he making the point to?
Well,
Doesn't have
just
a
that
point.
it's not that his off-field dramas aren't going to affect his performance on the field to his teammates.
Maybe. I mean, his head should be... He was able to train, so his body should be right. Is
Yep.
his mind there? He's a professional. I think he'll be okay. But I think this will be the best game of the round. And I think the Dogs are right in it this year. I've got them 4th. Where'd you have them in your ladder?
5th or 6th.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if these two teams played again in the finals. So,
Okay, we're both going to Brisbane.
yeah,
though.
Lions, 3 points for me.
Yep.
Final game of the round, Sunday night, St Kilda against Collingwood at the MCG. There's going to be 80,000 people. 90,000 people. Are you going to be there, Pete?
Nowhere near it.
You'll be at a concert or coming home from the Grand Prix?
No, I won't be either. I'm actually in Sydney, the Gold Coast, and Brisbane for the weekend, watching
You'll have had
those
enough of
3
footy.
games, and I'll be watching at home on Sunday night with interest, because it should be an absolute cracker with that many people there, and with St Kilda being the story of the off-season, having those new recruits come on board, and really they need to stamp themselves with some authority against last year's prelim finalists, and it's uncertain whether they'll be able to do that.
You're not confident?
I wasn't confident in Collingwood beating St Kilda until about 30 minutes ago.
Oh, so you are confident the Pies
Well, I'm
are
not
gonna get up.
confident, but I think that they can beat them, absolutely. They need to find an answer for Nasiah Wanganeen-Malira, obviously, but then St Kilda...
He'll be playing on the ball this year as
He'll be
opposed to
playing.
halfback. Do you think that will make him a more dominant player for St Kilda?
Absolutely.
Because there's a little bit more accountability, though, when you're playing in the midfield as opposed to playing in a half-back, playing on the worst small forward in the opposition.
Yeah, but he played midfield for about the last 6 weeks last year, and he dominated, didn't he?
Yes, that the Saints didn't dominate.
No, the Saints had narrow wins in 4 of their last 5 games, I think it was. Dacos will get Windhager. Collingwood, if Darcy Moore plays, I will tip Collingwood to win just because that will stiffen up their defence. It's not as though...
They don't have that many out, actually. You kind of think with Collingwood that they're actually ravaged by injury. But if more plays, it's really Jeremy Howe and Bobby Hill who are unavailable.
Yeah, and Bobby Hill you can basically write off unless something dramatic happens for the rest of the year. And Joel Cochran could come in. Will Parker will play. I think Collingwood will have set themselves all summer for this game.
They have a point to prove, don't they?
Yeah,
there's
and
a
the
lot of
pressure is
people riding them
all on
on.
St Kilda. And St Kilda have got an improved lineup and they've got a bit more experience and they've got Wanganeen Malera, but I just don't think they'll be quite ready to defeat Collingwood.
I'm kind of with you. I've written in my notes St Kilda by 7 points, but you've put in a very persuasive spiel there. And I kind of think that St Kilda, I mean, I've got them 12th.
Credulous.
Collingwood are, depending on, do you look at them as a team that was, were they in front at half-time in the preliminary final or within a kick?
They were one shocking free kick. No,
Collingwood should have won the flag last year,
I'm
shouldn't
joking.
they? So you look at it like that,
game.
Or do you look at the team that limped to the line last year? But then, I mean, really, what has St Kilda done? They've thrown out the checkbook, but they haven't really, they haven't done much for a long time. And the players they brought in on big dollars, I would say probably only DeConing would be one who you could think would be an All-Australian. Flanders maybe, but I don't think he's up to that class.
I think
DeConing could be.
Sorry to interrupt. Liam Ryan and Wanganeen Malera will prove a handful.
Wanganeen Malera, well, I don't know about Liam Ryan. And Jack Silvani was concussed in that first match sim, so he's a bit of a watch. So check
Callum
your
Wilkie is a bit of a
team.
watch too, and he's a vital player for them. I think he'll play, but look, I'm going for Collingwood, not with any great confidence, but merely on the fact that they've been on the big stage many, many, many times, whereas some of the St Kilda players playing in front of 90,000 will be either inspiring or a shock to the system.
Well, they've got a bit of a point to prove. They've got a big chip on their shoulder, the Saints.
Yeah.
Or maybe they've got 2 chips on their shoulder, so they should be relatively balanced.
What are the 2 chips?
Well, they're just always angry, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
I'll tip Collingwood.
Oh, that is pathetic. We've tipped all the same things. I was hoping you'd at least show some heart and tip St Kilda. No, that's all right. We're both going to go down with the pies.
Yes, that's...
So you're just sitting with me, eh? You're like a runner that just sits on your shoulder the whole marathon.
Well, let's not give ground in the first week of the season.
Fair enough.
You don't want to be -3 or whatever off the pace.
No, that's true.
After one round before your team's even started playing.
I think you settle in, don't you? You back the favourite in the first 3 races.
Though actually, the first 6 rounds is when you really want to be making your move.
Right.
Because if you can find a team that nobody else is locked onto, you could get 2 or 3 tips ahead.
No, that's
and it's hard to actually make ground in the back end of the season.
Who will that team be?
That's a very good question. Sydney.
Oh, no one's locked on to Sydney.
All the ones coming from below.
You don't.
We'll have to think about that next week.
But it is true. It's absolutely true.
Maybe I don't think the Giants might be ones you tip against. Last year, Adelaide was the team that jumped out of the blocks.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I got on Adelaide.
So I'm going to say the Dogs.
Okay.
Having tipped against them this week.
Yeah.
That's all we've got time for today. Thanks for joining us. You can see the rest of the experts' tips at theage.com.au/AFL. Make sure to subscribe, rate and review wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to get in touch with us, send us an email, realfootypod@theage.com.au. We'll be back on Monday to review all the action from opening round, and our next episode, and all episodes this season, Tipping Pod, will be out on Thursdays. Enjoy the round and may your team win.